I'm here in Buskirk, New York at the studio of artist Steven Jay Sanford, who is a master decoy carver. What's a decoy? Follow me.
I grew up on Long Island, South Shore of Long Island. From the earliest memories, I was interested in the natural world and particularly birds. The spark for my passions really came from my dad, who was a duck hunter. He was a policeman, so he worked shifts so he could hunt every day. And I would go right to the entry room and he would lay the ducks out. And I really knew all the ducks before I was in kindergarten. Yeah, that shows how it really bit me. I was one of those rare people that knew from an early age what I wanted to do with my life. So long before I was in high school, I knew I was going to be a wildlife biologist, and at the time in New York State, Cornell was the place to go. So I went there and studied wildlife science in the early 70s. The last 10 years or so of my career, I was the chief ecologist for New York State, and really had just a wonderful career because you work with wonderful people on important stuff, and you're learning all the time. I began what I call phase 2. I don't call it retirement. And I tried to do as much as possible. We're in my shop/studio right now. I built this building shortly before I retired, knowing that this is where I was going to spend most of my days. I tell myself that I spent 50 years designing this building. Finally got to build it when I was around age 55. And it's to allow me to pursue all the creative things that I like to do. Any kind of woodworking, any kind of work on small boats. I think I've built 18 or 19 boats from scratch over my lifetime, but in recent years, I'm mostly restoring and rehabilitating and customizing other people's boats. I draw, I paint, carve decoys. I want to make sure that when I mount the head, that I leave a nice flat surface here. I guess I've always known what decoys were, but I understand that not everybody knows decoys, and I've spent a lot of my life learning about them and learning the history of them. But for someone who hunts ducks, most people hunt ducks with decoys. They're believed to be a unique American form of folk art, that they didn't really come here from Europe like a lot of other stuff did. But anyway, it's intended to be a replica, very often floating. And when you're hunting ducks, the biggest part of the challenge is to be where the ducks want to be anyhow. Once you're there, the purpose of the decoys is to really localize the birds so that they can come basically within gunshot. So this is a draw knife. A lot of carvers nowadays, they carve with power. I have a power carver. I almost never use it. I make decoys that are purely utilitarian, but always have some artistic component to them. And then I have others that are more pure art, which is where I would put this. Because I'm doing this as art, I feel free to abandon the biology at some point and just let art take over. I put some curves in that probably aren't there on the bird. I put some very abrupt changes in tone that probably aren't there on the bird. I like a nice, on my, what I call my mantelpiece birds, I want a nice voluptuous shape to them. I've got the body roughed out so that it's 95% of the shape that I need. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish hollowing these two halves out on the drill press. One of the things I love about decoys is that they are so varied, and you can look at one species and all the different ways it's been interpreted. And part of it is because it's different people doing them, but another part is that the requirements change depending upon where and how you're hunting. if you're hunting a small beaver pond up here in Washington County. How a bird handles in heavy seas is not an issue. If I'm hunting on Long Island in the winter with a gale, wind, and maybe ice moving, you need a very different decoy for that. So just like with boats or anything else, it all has to be tailored to the requirements. It may look a little bit motley now, but I will say that standing here and looking at it, it has just the appearance that I want. It has, that alert, the bird has a relatively high head, but merely alert and interested, not terrified. If anybody watched me work during the course of a day or a week, they would wonder why I'm working on so many different things. And it's just kind of who I am. I try to go through this phase of my life to the extent that I can, is enjoying every moment that I have. And so if I can be working on something that I get satisfaction out of, someone else may look at it and say, oh, that's hard work. I wouldn't want to do that. But I'm loving it because I'm in that zone where nothing else matters. You're striving for a certain level of perfection or excellence, and that just is a great place to be. And there's a lot of ways that I can do that. I'm not a musician. My wife's the gardener. There's a lot of ways to get this in life. This is the way I get it, and it's not just one thing. It's a whole bunch of different things.